Today we're going to be redesigning Rich Brian's merch from his current design into something like this. We're going to be taking inspiration from Y2K, anime, and this kind of futuristic cyberpunk aesthetic, since a lot of Rich Brian's recent Instagram posts seem to lean more towards this style. We're also actually going to be making some of the merch and putting it onto physical clothes just to see how it looks and fits, and I'm going to be showing you how you can easily make it at your home too. Going to be giving these ones out to you guys randomly. Just comment down below what is your all-time favorite Rich Brian song and stick around to the end to see how it's made. So let's get to it. I've opened up Adobe Illustrator and I pulled in a few inspiration on past tees that are just really cool and visually appealing to look at. On the top left corner, I think we can make a tee that has this kind of inspiration of a cutout head shape portrait with the colored hair that we can make super saturated. I think I saw a Rich Brian post that had this kind of similar aesthetic. And then as we go to the right, you know, Bjork, she's like pretty known for her amazing logo and this kind of futuristic design approach. So I think we could create and take a little inspiration from that as well. Also, you know, some anime tees and designs. I think those are really cool and always kind of traditional and nostalgic for probably fans of Rich Brian as well. So we can include that as another design shirt too. Alright, as we go to the right hand side, I compiled also some mock-up tees, like a white short sleeve, a black short sleeve, and then also long sleeves as well. Some traditional merch stuff like short pants, tote bags, and also a water bottle that is pretty trendy nowadays that we could design onto. So let's start off with that first short sleeve white shirt. Let's scroll through Instagram just to get inspiration and see what kind of imagery works well. And I remember seeing one post from Rich Brian where he had this crazy red hair. I'm just gonna pull that up. You know, this photo looks super epic and I think we can make some magic with this. So just gonna take a quick screenshot. Since these screenshots nowadays are super high res, we're just gonna drag that into our folder, and then just seeing side by side how this particular shot looks really good with the current inspirations that we have. We could just kind of copy what they done and cut the face out of Rich Brian as well. So I'm gonna open up Photoshop and then just take that screenshot and drag it into there. First thing I'm gonna do, since it's pretty hard to cut out the hair, a little cheat that we could do is on Photoshop, hit on the layers panel, we're gonna click on normal and then drag to multiply. And since we hit multiply, you can see that it kind of magically blends that hair with the shirt color itself, so we don't need to really hand cut everything out itself. So it kind of did the hard work for us. And what's really nice is you can always play with this filter panel and just scroll through it really quick just to see all the cool effects that it could do. So as we scroll through, you can see that it kind of does inverted, kind of takes apart the images and just leaves certain colors or brightens things up altogether. But we're just gonna hit on multiply. So what we're going to do first is click on the current layer and then toggle to the clipping mask on the bottom right so we can mask things out. We're going to click on the layer first and then click on the mask effect, and then we're just going to slowly use the poly tool to cut his face out. So give me a few seconds to cut this thing out. Alright, cool. So after we have his face cut out, what we're going to do is go onto the filter gallery. And this option is really nice because it gives us a really cool panel of effects that can be applied to the image. For example, if you want the image to be kind of like this hand-drawn pencil look, or if you want it to look kind of like inverted with just certain colors popping out, or also if you want it to look super like watercolor painted, it could do this really cool effect. But my favorite one is dry brush because it does a little cheat and makes this image look that much more high resolution. So we're gonna press this and toggle between brush size, brush detail, and textures. So we're gonna play around with that to see which one we like best. And as you can see, as we zoom in really close, it retains some of that high definition detail and gives it this really cool painterly effect. So after we have that good, we're gonna go back to our inspiration, and one thing that all of these inspirations does well is have that super saturated color hair. So we could go back and really give that really colorful hair that it's missing on this photo itself, because it's red but we can make it more red. We're gonna duplicate this layer and create a separate one and title it hair, and the bottom one is face. And we're gonna press hair. We're gonna go to image, adjustment, and then hue saturation, and we're just gonna bring up that saturation that much more up and I'm gonna toggle between that. And we're gonna press on the mask tool for hair and kind of erase it all together so we can slowly paint it in afterwards. We're gonna press face, and then we're gonna erase that hair color so we can bring it up on the hair panel itself. So we're just gonna paint that in. using the brush tool, and make sure that you play in between the white and the black color panels, because white means to bring in and black means to erase. We're going to clean it up a bit more, and already it's looking pretty cool and wild. And what's nice about separating the hair and the faces, we could go back to hair and open up hue and saturation again and play with the hair colors, right? If we wanted a crazy green or crazy blue or any other color. And I'm digging the red actually, and it kind of relates back to his new recent album 1999, and also where Rich Brian is born in Jakarta, Indonesia, and the flag of that is white and red as well. So let's keep true to that and make this whole merch design this kind of color in between white and red as well. So let's stay true to that. We could tone down the hue a little bit so it looks more realistic and just clean it up. And already it's looking pretty cool. One thing that's missing is the sunglasses, right? This kind of Y2K aesthetic that, looking back at his social media, it's all like these really cool different sunglasses that he's been rocking. So what we're gonna do is open up the Google browser. We're gonna type in Y2K Oakley sunglasses, and we're just gonna look through it and see which style looks cool. And already that first image looks pretty cool. We're just gonna grab that. We're gonna drag this image into our Photoshop, and it looks a little janky and cheesy, but trust me, it's gonna look really cool. Again, we're gonna use the mask tool for the layers panel and just slowly cut out these sunglasses so it looks more in position to Rich Brian's face. After we have these sunglasses cut out, we're gonna go to layer filter and just scroll through all of the options just to see how it looks. And this one actually looks really cool. Screen effect. It has this kind of translucent ghost feel, which feels very futuristic. So we're gonna click on that, and then let's play with the hue and saturation just to give it more vibrancy and color to it as well. So we're gonna play with some of the scroll bars on the hue, saturation, and lightness. And I'm kind of digging this pink, lime green, and white combination all together. So we're gonna keep it with that and just clean some areas up really quickly. And what's next is cyberpunk, right? It's based on robots and kind of this futuristic cyborg effect. So adding onto this as well, I think we could have this kind of futuristic effect if we change and make his eye color different, kind of like it's like glowing, or it has this kind of alien robotic feel. So what we're gonna do is similar to what we did with the hair and the face. We're gonna make separate layers for the eyes as well. We're gonna duplicate the face layer and then just title it eyes, and then increase the saturation and play with the lightness as well. And then we're gonna click on the brush tool just to paint out the eyes for the face, and then just color it back in. So as you can see, it's looking pretty cool, and the green is kind of freaking me out. So let's change it into a more bluish color to it. So we're gonna go back to the hue, saturation, and then just play with the color spectrum so it's more bluish, and that's looking pretty cool. We're just gonna bring back that sunglass layer so it's all together, and voila, it's looking pretty cool. He looks kind of like a Blade Runner, like a replicant, this kind of robotic feature that you only can tell by the eyeballs. So I'm really digging this look and aesthetic. Next up, what we want to do is add in a shine and sparkle. So we're gonna type on Google shine sparkle PNGs, and I'm digging these 3 stars diagonally. We're just gonna drag that into our Photoshop, and then again play with the life-saving layer filter effect, and then we're gonna toggle through to see which option looks great. And the overlay seems to work really well, and the shine really gives it more character and pop and emphasis to the sunglasses. Next up, what we're gonna do is, I saw this really cool photo of this guy wearing double sunglasses, and it has this cyberpunk futuristic robotic effect. We're just gonna duplicate this sunglass layer and drag it up on top so it looks like he's wearing double sunglasses, just to give it a more kind of comical but also fun grungy aesthetic to it. And that's looking pretty cool. I'm really digging this. We're gonna zoom in and take a screenshot of this, and then drag it into our Illustrator file with all of the merch together, and then we're gonna play with some typography. I have this 88 Rising logo that we can make on the left sleeve just to add some detail onto this tee. And let's type in Rich Brian on the bottom. I found this really cool alien font on thefonts.com. It's called Hybrid, and you guys can download that for free. What we're gonna do is play with the sizing of this and play with the tracking of the spacing between the letters. And let's make it red to go in ode to 1999 and Jakarta and the flag of Indonesia, to stay true to that theme. Let's give it this outline, which we saw from Bjork's tee as well, where she had that cool font that was outlined as well. So we're gonna kind of take inspiration on that. And on the bottom, we're gonna type in Indonesia 1999, just to kind of pay homage to Rich Brian and where he's from. And it kind of has this robot was made in Indonesia 1999 vibes to it too. And that's our first shirt. I'm digging this one a lot. Let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this one. And next up, let's do a more anime inspired tee. So we're gonna go back to our reference and see how they kind of do the design and aesthetic. And a lot of these styles are very loud too, so we're gonna play with that. And I found this really cool Megamind outline photo reference that we could take the skeleton of and just replace the face with Rich Brian's face too, so it makes it more catered to him. I'm gonna drag this into Photoshop. And a cheat that I like to use is go to filter, blur, make it slightly blurred, and then go to levels and up the level so it's darker as well. And just keep doing this feature until you get the stroke thickness that you like, but then also it's high definition and it retains the outlines. And then zooming in, you can see that it looks pretty high definition and not too pixelated that we could use. I don't think we need these bubble square pixels, so we're gonna use the Photoshop eraser tool to erase all of these, and we could replace these in the future with music notes. So after we have this erased, we're gonna screenshot this and drag it into Adobe Illustrator, and then we're just gonna go to Object, Image Trace, and then Make and Expand. And then after we have that expand, and then turn this design into white so it kind of stands out on the black color. And next up, what we want to do is bring in that nice type that we did for the previous shirt so it's all consistent, and then put it behind this drawing just to see how it looks. And already that looks pretty fresh. What we could do to make this Mega Man illustration more original and unique to this merch tee is to replace the face with Rich Brian's. So we're going to isolate this illustration. Let's put it on a white background with the black ink just so it looks more visible. And I'm going to use the Illustrator brush tool to slowly start brushing away some of the Mega Man helmets and intricacies of the drawing, so it leaves room for us to play and bring in Rich Brian's red hair and ears. So we're just going to paint away all of the unnecessary details. And then after we had that, we're just going to start using the brush tool to bring in his hairline as well. And it looks a little janky because of the proportion, so we're just gonna keep going back and forth between the white brush and the black brush to erase some of the unnecessary outlines and add in our own outlines. And then we're gonna start adding in the frizzles of the hair to make it feel more texturized. After this, we're gonna paint in that red color hair using the 88 color tone that we created, and that's looking pretty good. And we're also gonna be painting in the glasses as well, so just taking inspiration on how we made that Y2K Oakley sunglass. We're kind of gonna mimic that in a cartoon Mega Man aesthetic. So we're gonna do two circles, one on the right, one on the left. We're gonna paint in that eyeglass brim. What we want to do next is add in some music notes. So I'm gonna go to Google, type in music notes, and then this one looks pretty fresh. Drag it into our Illustrator, go to Image Trace, and just start scattering it around Rich Brian. And then let's add some stars just to give it a more happy and anime feel to it. So we're gonna scatter one on the top left and then one on the bottom right as well. And that's looking pretty cool. I think the glasses, we can make it white just to make it more relatable to the reference that we have. And after finishing up this illustration, let's drag it into that black shirt that we have, and let's just turn everything white so it's inverted and it pops out on the black tee. And that's looking pretty cool with the black short sleeve. Let's move on to the white long sleeve and use this similar illustration and make it big on the back. Let's make a new logo type for this particular tee. Let's type in Rich Brian. And again, on the fonts, I found this really cool futuristic font called Vortex that you could download as well. I'll leave a link down below to it so then you could easily find it. And looking at inspiration for Y2K, I see a lot of it have this outline aesthetic. So what we're gonna do is outline Rich Brian's text, put these two together, delete that Brian I dot, so then it could be more in a cohesive grouping what we're going to do is go to Object, Compound Path, and Make. So then we could create an outline around it. We have this down, and that looks pretty cool on the back. Let's blow this up large. On the bottom, we could do Made in 1999. And let's enlarge Rich Brian and Made in 1999. So it looks like the character is popping outside and bleeding into the Rich Brian type and the Made in 1999 type too. So it has a more 3D effect look to it. And let's also play with the stars and the music notes so it has that similar effect where it's cropping out of the type as well. And let's move on to the front long sleeve, and let's copy Rich Brian and put it on the right corner of the long sleeve, and let's do 1999 on the left side. Let's play with the sizing of this, and to differentiate 1999 and Rich Brian, let's make Rich Brian black, and let's bring in those red stars around it just to give it more character. And on the left and right sleeves, I created these quick designs. One of them is the album songs and then also the length of the songs as well. And the top, it says 1999, the album title, and on the bottom it has the 88 Rising logo, keeping consistent to what we did with the short sleeve shirts. And on the right sleeve, I created this illustration which says Jakarta, Indonesia. And you know, the long sleeve, we had to take advantage of the sleeves and the blank space, so this kind of helps to fill in that area. We have this long sleeve done, and let's move on to the tote bag. So for the tote bag, we're just gonna take all the elements we created on the long sleeve white shirt and then just plug it into the tote bag and play with the composition of the rectangle base that we have. So I'm just going to copy that Rich Brian logo that we did. On the top, let's put that Jakarta design that we created, and on the bottom we could do Made in 1999 in that red color. And on the back side, we could just use that nice Mega Man Rich Brian style that we created and put it onto that. And I'm really digging that. That looks really nice as a tote bag. Next up is the water bottle. Similar to the tote bag, we're just going to grab that graphic, and I think it's going to look really nice if we just drag that in exactly how it looks. On the top, we could just drag in that black Rich Brian font, and then on the bottom we do Made in 1999, and we make all of those colors red so that illustration really pops out and gives that the focal point and the contrast. I'm really digging that. That looks great. And it gets really easy after we created all the assets for that long sleeve shirt that we can start dragging it around in all of these different size and proportion. It's all about like a puzzle and fitting it into these very interesting shapes and sizes. Last up we have is the black short pants. So similar, we're going to grab that graphic from the black short sleeve, and we're going to grab that illustration and make it on the right hand side. The left hand side, let's add in Rich Brian in the red graphic we did. Let's make 1999 white. Let's sneak in that 88 Rising logo below the 1999 font. And let's size up everything so it kind of fits in proportion with the large illustration we have on the right. And that's looking really good. I'm really digging that. Alright, so we're going to start by measuring the tote bag and also the long sleeve shirt. Gonna be documenting all the measurements and making sizes on Adobe Illustrator so then we can start scaling it to the actual merch size. I'm using the plugin program Silhouette Connect to link my Adobe Illustrator to the cutting machine. We're going to turn on the machine, and the material I'm using to cut is called heat transfer vinyl. Make sure the matte non-shiny one is facing towards you and is being cut. So we're going to tape all sides down to the cutting board, and we're going to put it into the Cameo Plus, and it cuts right away. I also use my phone's flashlight to check the progress of the cuts and make sure that it's deep enough. We're going to do the red one as well. After it's finished cutting, we're going to start weeding out all of the details. It's pretty time consuming, but it's meditative, and you see the progress of all the little details and how the design looks like. And also make sure your designs are flipped horizontally so the designs won't be inverted and mirrored when you actually heat press it on. Next up, we're going to start laying down the red heat transfer vinyl, and this one's more special because it's like a puffy material that raises up, so it gives this really cool 3D effect. I left the link down below on all the supplies that you can use, so make sure to check it out if you're interested. For the long sleeve, we're going to heat press it down so the wrinkles go away, and then start laying out the black designs. also the red puffy designs too. Here's how it looks like worn for the long sleeve and tote bag, and also the back side as well. Really digging how the tote bag turned out. And there you have it, guys. This is the redesigned Rich Brian 1999 album merch. Hope you guys digged it. And again, if you want one of the pieces from the merch, just comment down below what is your all-time favorite Rich Brian song, and I'll send it to one of you guys out there. And let me know what artist merch redesign you want me to do next down in the comments below. Thanks again always for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.